Wait, wasn't it supposed? Oh, okay. There. I was like, wait, what happened to my music? My music is gone. No, it's fine. We're all good. Anyway, happy Monday. Happy Monday, boys and girls. How are we all doing today? Yes, well. You know what? It's all good. um, no. Life is, life is, eh. Exactly. Anyway, so by popular request of the community, we are going to start a new segment. Actually, I should point out that this was actually when I say the community, this was co-sponsored by the TAMC 01. Who else was part of this? I have and let me just make this clear that this was not only the various to annoy Muses corporations, but also Mommy Clique, year one, just actually it was all of year one, right? Yeah, it was all of year one, and it actually also included the Don't Annoy Muses corporation. So it's like, like it is quite interesting. 5, 8, and 9, quite an interesting amount of support behind this, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, it's not that I mind, right? Like, obviously, you all know me. I love talking. You can't complain. I love talking. So like, this is completely fine for me. Like, if I can, if I'm completely honest, like our previous segments with like video games and all of that, it would always, from my perspective at least, the video game would always get in the way of the conversation that I would like to have. That's not to say that video games are bad. No. I'm perfectly happy, playing video games on stream. It just felt occasionally like the community agreed that sometimes the best way to have a conversation is to actually, have a conversation. And, that's like, for those of you that have worked with me, or for our year 1 class 2, actually class 1 and class 2 corporations both, you will know that I do prefer, conversation as opposed to like co-playing, right? Like, because obviously if I'm, oh, what happened to my face? Oh, there we go. Obviously, if I'm focused on a video game, then it's really hard for me to actually be involved in an in-depth conversation, right? And so that's not to say that, again, video games are fine. I'm not insulting your excuse me. I'm not insulting your video games. Genuinely, I'm not. Excuse me. But that doesn't mean that we have to have video games all the time, right? So anyway, we're good. So let's have some conversation. Now my problem with this particular point is I haven't actually thought about anything to say. So, you guys can actually, no, I do have something to talk about. But you guys can start. Propose away. Actually, you know what? Hijack the thread for just a moment. The thread, the UK-EU deal. And this is really hot off the presses, right? Like, this was what? They announced it like 2-3 hours ago. And so, potentially good news, right? The one of the biggest blockages between Britain and the UK what am I saying here? The UK, Britain, between the United Kingdom and the European Union, from the, well, in my view at least, mildly disastrous Brexit vote, one of the main issues has been is moving a step further to being resolved, right? Like what was her name? I can't remember. I don't remember her name. No, not her. I'm going to ignore half of those comments. No, the point I'm laboriously trying to get to is that now we finally have the governmental framework of how the Northern Ireland Protocol will look going forward, right? Obviously, it's not going to be the same as it was pre-Brexit, because for sort of self-evident reasons, if Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, but it needs to maintain an open border with Ireland, there will be problems, right? Just that's unfortunately there's no way of getting around that. And so, for a while, nothing worked, right? Theresa May didn't have a majority, and therefore she depended on the DUP for confidence, for passing confidence measures, and that gave the DUP, which is the Northern Ireland Unionist, Democratic Unionist, whatever, the Unionist Party, and the main Unionist voice in Northern Ireland, it gave them an outsized ability to influence how the United Kingdom would negotiate with the EU under Theresa May. And so obviously nothing got done, and my boy Bojo was very, very insistent on essentially fighting everything that Theresa May was doing. And then of course when he got to number 10, Boris Johnson then did exactly what Theresa May proposed. Right, which is just like it's ridiculous. Anyway, like, populists, whatever. And so obviously that was not going to be a long-term that wasn't going to be long-term feasible, especially with the way that Boris Johnson implemented it, right? Which meant that a lot of things would just drop away, and then it would be a free-for-all, and then the EU would have to retaliate, etc., etc. So Rishi Sunak has now finally managed to realign that agreement in such a way that did I write this down? Yes. Realign this agreement in such a way that there is at least an institutional agreement between the UK and the European Union. Now, of course, my boy has to sell it to his backbenchers, and we should note that my other boy Bojo has already come out strongly against this deal. So, so like, I guess the part that I really want. No, we'll get to that. The part that I really wanted to talk about is this, like, internecine warfare within the Conservative Party. It's just it's fantastic. Well, not fantastic. It is a better it is better reality TV than like reality TV, right? Like any amount of TV. It's just I kind of can understand why this happened. So like modern politics is shaping up to be the best reality TV. In part, probably because those people spent so many years watching reality TV. Right? And like when your ratings come from causing this, oh, what happened to my face? Oh, my face is fine. When your ratings come from causing a fuss, making a fuss, then there's an unending amount of fuss that you can cause, right? When your ratings come from making a fuss. Oh, properly. There we go. Then everything can become a fuss. And this was, remember we were reading the English Constitution actually, and we will get back to that, I think tomorrow or Wednesday. This was not the case in Bagehot's day, where the vast majority of, like, the rating of politicians has evolved, right? Because the more access we gain to politicians, the more we see that they're just human, but also the more they see themselves as very, very public figures. And in the days of Bagehot, this simply was not the case, right? Politicians would shut themselves into, oh, why does my face keep doing that? Hello? Okay, anyway. In the days of Bagehot, politicians would shut themselves into, you know, their cloistered and whatnot. But like, both the lower literacy rate and the slower means of communication meant that the electorate was less well informed about what politicians were doing, right? In Bagehot's day, the electorate was simply less well informed about the minutiae of politicians, and that's unfortunately not the case anymore, right? And I mean, it's kind of understandable. So, whatever. Whatever. So anyway, the overarching point is, you know, this deal has been settled, and now we are able to at least move on with our fucking lives, right? Like, just, well, most of us have already moved on with our lives, but some of well, no, we haven't moved on with our lives. No, you're right. Yes. Rishi still has to be able to get it passed through Parliament. Yes. Going forward, well, can you imagine there's a no confidence motion against Rishi in like in like 3 months? Well, I mean, you can already tell that there's discontent in the cabinet, right? So, like, would someone resign? Like there might be a resignation from this. I don't think that'll mean that Rishi will be suddenly, you know, like, forced to resign like Boris was. But no, I don't see it. I don't see it. Just like listen or thinking about the cabinet, Rishi Sunak's cabinet as it is, I can't see any like there. You of course you get sort of resignations from, you know, junior ministers. You get some from sort of the very reactionary wings. But that's to be expected if he didn't get their agreement ahead of time. So the fact that that this deal still went through means that, you know, like, his political calculus is that it'll be that, right? Anyway, let's move on. The next point was inflation, yes, or how Jerome Powell will go to your house and shoot your dog. I had to look up whether his last name had 2 L's or not. Turns out it does. Anyway, so you'll all have seen me over the past like a week and a half share progressing news stories that sort of vindicate my continued, what is that? Oh, it's that. Okay, that vindicate my continued calls for fiscal restraint and preparation for the downturn I obviously I called it a recession that's coming in the second half of this year, but for that downturn that is coming, and with the markets being more and more in line with what I'm saying, you're welcome. Uh, of course, if you were an equity trader, then I'm sorry that you missed out. If you followed my Actually, you shouldn't be following my advice anyway, because remember, nothing here is investment advice. There we go. Okay. No, it genuinely isn't. It genuinely isn't, because I'm not here to tell you about where you should be investing your money. I'm here to explain or to give you my view of the economy and where it's going. And it should be at most another data point in your own investment decision. It should have nothing to do with me, right? And so yeah, inflation seems to be here and seems to be stuck. And interestingly enough, the markets seem to agree now. Now, the problem is what happens when people think too hard and focus too hard on inflation, right? That will be different. But well, you see, the my view on it is that humans tend to be optimists, right? And I realize I'm looking down, and that's because I'm looking at my cup of tea and I'm thinking about this. Humans tend to be optimists, and so let me put it this way. The Fed Supercycle of 2008 to 2000, let's say 2021, was the central banks compensating for political inability, right? And so therefore, cuts to interest rates didn't work. Stimulation to get money into the economy didn't really work for sort of vis-a-vis the like, to me it invalidates trickle down, right? So let me be very, very clear about that. To me, this Fed supercycle has shown that trickle down economics doesn't work. Trickle down economics does not work. I was really young in 2008, but even in 2008, I called for direct stimulus. I called for actually keeping people in their, especially the subprime mortgages. I called for keeping people in their homes, having the government fully take over, and not just via Fannie and Freddie, but having the government fully take over those mortgages, keep people in their homes, and do not write off those valuations, but drag them out, right? Like, refinance at 50 years in such a way that people, you bring down payments dramatically, have the government guarantee, and then you unwind those collateral debt obligations, right? And so, like, that would have made so much more sense. Let me just write this down. In 2008, baby Muses called for, not baby, that's what was that? Hold on. Okay. I go back and forth between Windows and Mac, so obviously my what am I trying to say? The Alt and Command and Control buttons do vastly different things, right? Anyway, I was gonna say, not baby Muses, a very young Muses called for what am I saying? Right, the keeping people, called for direct stimulus. Well, it's true though. Like if you think about it, it makes sense to me at least, right? Like in that instead of unwinding the economy, unwind the CDOs, right? So called for direct stimulus via keeping people in their homes, direct takeover of mortgages by the federal government, and using that to unwind these collateral debt obligations, right? And and the reason I say this is that really the quote unquote Fed Supercycle has shown us that is essentially trickle-down economics, right? Like essentially the banks make loans really cheap, and the vast majority of those loans went to inflate asset valuations, private equity, like like literally this is what made WeWork, right? Like WeWork valuation, like and that definitely didn't trickle anywhere. It just created a generation of douchebags. I say that, and at the moment I said that, I was like, you know what, someone's going to say like Muses, and then I look into the chat, and like literally 3 seconds later, and it's just like douchebags like Muses. Oh, like Muses. Oh, Muses, are you talking about yourself? Oh, hi Muses, how are you doing? The Fed Supercycle really only created a new class of douchebags. No, not like Muses. Can you imagine my peers doing what I do? Come on. Let's be very clear on that. My peers are nothing like me. Anyway, anyway, what I wanted to say, let's bring it back to inflation. Okay, let's bring it all back to inflation. The underlying point is this Fed engineered downturn is, and in stars, is something the Fed can reverse with a few words, i.e. Jerome Powell will first shoot your dog and then give you a puppy, give you a better one, right? Or give you a cuter puppy. I'm going to respond to something that was actually when I originally said this in yeah, exactly. This is basically a retread of that discussion, but I do want to address that question that I didn't manage to address. But Muses, why can't Powell just leave my puppy alone? That's not how the economy works. Right? Essentially, I don't know if I want to keep taking this analogy, but let's continue. Essentially, think of it this way. Your puppy is sick. It's got cancer. And the cancer will cost you a lot of money. But you are unable to shoot your puppy yourself because it'll make you sad. So Jerome Powell comes and shoots your dog for you. I love this analogy. I can't remember who first came up with it, but from now on, everything about the economy, it will just be Jerome Powell shooting your dog. I'm sorry, but this is just the best analogy. Anyway, yeah. So the point is, so the Jerome Powell comes and shoots your dog for you, and then a few months later, gives you a nice loan to buy a new one. And this is crucial. This nice new loan is much cheaper than if you had kept your cancerous puppy. Right? Does that wait, where's that you? Oh my fucking god. Oh. So Muses was laughing with face in hand. No, head in hands. With head in hand. Is that how you say it? I know. And some mean person took a picture of it and uploaded it to the community. That is very mean, okay? Let's be very clear about that. That is very mean. And you are lucky that I can't fire you. Muses. You are lucky. Is that how you spell lucky? Lucky. That I can't fire you yet. I need to get some blinds for that thing, so then no, it's fine. It's fine. You guys have seen me at my worst, which is here just now, because obviously that's the worst I'll get, right? Obviously, come on. Anyway, we were going to talk about something else. Right, our year 1 students. Yes. Let's talk about something for our year 1 students want to talk about. Year 1 question. I'll ignore half of those questions, or most of those questions by our year 1 students, but I will answer this one. Will Muses play Honkai Star Rail? Is there a colon in there? Let me just double check. Honkai Star Rail. There is. Okay, fantastic. Yes. I mean, yeah, probably. Like, I think, as it is, it looks like it'll be fun. So, you know, that's fine. Okay, catching up our year 2 and 3 students. I don't know if you guys remember, a while back we played a game called Genshin Impact. Yes, the anime open world, Breath of the Wild clone. Yes, exactly. And that same company has another franchise called Honkai, and that was on hold for a while they were building Genshin Impact. But after the success of Genshin, obviously they've had a lot more money, and they were working on the next version of Honkai, which is it open world? I can't remember. I don't think it is, right? It's a smaller scale, and it's turn-based. And it's sort of supposed to sit sort of adjacent to Genshin Impact, in that you can play both at the same time. And it looks fun. Like let me rephrase that. I think the world and the background and the art looks interesting. It is very much still. It looks like it's being rendered in basically the same way as Genshin Impact. And so obviously, you know, if you didn't like that, you're not gonna like this one. But I think, like, I'm personally not a huge fan of fantasy, right? Muses personally doesn't really like fantasy genre, and that's really what like if you wanted to shoehorn Genshin into anything, it is fantasy, right? Like swords, staves, magic, half dilapidated castles. It always makes me feel like it's too boring. It's too cliche and boring. That's not to say that sci-fi is not cliche, but I prefer to see civilization, right? And so I guess it comes back to being liking Hong Kong, right? It'd be like choosing to live in Hong Kong versus, say, rural Montana, right? Like there's nothing wrong with Montana. It's beautiful scenery. But I personally would choose, New York City over Montana, just because the things that I enjoy, the things that I like to see is the community, etc., right? And so so I would definitely, we will play it. How much we'll play will very much depend on sponsorship, and I don't really get a say over that, right? yeah. Anyway, both my voice and our time has run out, so I will just say thank you very much for watching. In conclusion, please download Firefox, please don't do Chrome, and I shall see all of you potentially tomorrow, health permitting, tomorrow, Wednesday, whatever. Yes. Thank you. We'll leave it at that. Okay, thank you very much. I'd already said download Firefox, don't do Chrome, and wink. Bye now.